Neville Brand really hated him more than anyone. Neville Brand was born Lawrence Neville Brand on August 13, 1920 in Griswold, Iowa. He was one of the most unique actors of the 1900s in Hollywood. People knew him for his tough look, scratchy voice, and scary way of acting on screen. Brand built a career that lasted many years and left behind a really cool legacy in movies, TV shows, and theater. Even though he rarely got to play the main hero roles that other actors of his time got to play, his ability to play tough, complicated, and sometimes scary characters made him a person people remembered in American entertainment history. Before he started acting, Brand lived a life full of things that gave him the toughness and realness he later brought to his roles. Growing up during the Great Depression taught him how to be strong and never give up. When World War II started, Brand joined the United States Army and did a really good job fighting. He became part of the 331st Infantry Regiment, 83rd Infantry Division, and fought in big battles in Europe. In one really scary battle, he got badly hurt, earning the Silver Star for being brave in action. His time in the war not only left him with scars, but also gave him inner strength and deep feelings that he used later in his acting career. After coming back from the war, Brand used his GI Bill money to study acting, and later went to the American Theater Wing in New York. He got better at acting by doing stage shows before moving on to making movies. His tough looks and sharp eyes made him perfect for rough guy roles, and soon Hollywood wanted him. Brand made his first movie in the late 1940s, but it was in the 1950s and 1960 seconds that he became really well known. One of his first and most important roles was in the movie Doa in 1950, where he played a mean gangster that people never forgot. During the 1950 seconds, he was in lots of war movies and westerns, types of movies that fit his tough personality. Movies like Stalag 17 in 1953 and Riot in Cell Block 11 in 1954 let him show not only how strong he looked, but also his skill at acting really intense feelings. He quickly became one of Hollywood's favorite bad guys. He was often chosen to play outlaws, soldiers, prisoners, or scary people who made movies more tense and real. Television also gave Brand a way to reach more people. He starred in the popular TV show Laird from 1965 to 1967, where he played Texas Ranger Rebonette. This role let him show a funnier and more playful side, mixing action with jokes and getting lots of fans who loved westerns. His work on Laredo is still one of his most famous accomplishments, proving he could do both serious and funny roles really well, even though people knew him for playing tough guys. The people who knew Neville Brand in real life often talked about how kind, smart, and giving he was when not acting. He was a very private person, sometimes having trouble with memories of his war experience and how they made him feel sad. He lived most of his later life in Sacramento, California, where he spent this time with books, art, and close friends. Brand also loved to read and collect things, especially books, which showed the smart and thoughtful side of a man who usually played mean characters. During his career, Brand was in more than 100 movies and TV shows. He played lots of different actors, from mean criminals to hero soldiers, and what he did for Hollywood's best years of westerns and crime shows is still important today. Even though he never became as famous as some other actors of his time, how consistent, hard-working, and memorable he was on screen made him a person everyone respected in business. Neville Brand, the famous American actor known for his powerful screen presence and memorable performances, had a personal life full of complicated and sometimes difficult relations. His first marriage was to Gene Enfield, a marriage that ended in divorce in 1955. Not much is known publicly about what happened in this marriage, but we know that the breakup happened when Brand was becoming famous in Hollywood, dealing with the stress of a demanding movie and TV career. After this, in 1957, Brand married Laura Riario. This marriage lasted for 12 years, ending in divorce in 1969, a time when the couple lived through important life experiences, including raising a family. Together, Neville and Laura had 3 daughters, which was a big part of his personal life. Showing that even with his busy career, Brand cared deeply about being a father, taking care of and providing for his children while also handling his work responsibilities. Later in life, Brand was married to May Brand, who died in 1992. Not much is written about their marriage, but it's clear that May was important in his later life, giving him friendship and support as he got older. Besides his family life, Neville Brand also cared about politics and supported the Republican Party. He publicly supported Dwight D. Eisenhower's scamming pay for president during the 1952 election, which showed his personal beliefs and values during an important time in American history. Eisenhower's campaign, which focused on strong leadership, being against communism, and making America prosperous, matched what Brand believed in, and his support for Eisenhower shows that he cared about the political discussions of his time. This mix of personal, family, and political life shows us Neville Brand not only as a famous actor, but also as a man deeply connected to his beliefs, his family, and what was happening in society during his time. Neville Brand, a veteran actor known for his intense acting as villains and tough guys on both stage and screen, had a deep and strong hatred for Elvis Presley. This hate was not something that passed quickly or just a small complaint, but a deep dislike that Brand himself talked about in many interviews, often being completely honest. He openly said without any doubt that Elvis was someone he could not stand. Brand's dislike was so strong that he said over and over, "I've hated nobody more in my life than that Presley." The real reasons for this hatred were complicated, coming from both Brand's personal values and how he saw Elvis as a cultural thing that he could not respect. Brand's dislike for Presley was partly because he saw the singer as a symbol of how American culture was getting worse. He was often shaped by the hard parts of World War I and by the strict rules of military life, having served as a decorated soldier in the US Army during one of the most difficult wars in history. To Brand, Elvis represented everything silly, flashy, and unearned about after-war celebrity culture. In his opinion, Presley's rise to fame wasn't deserved. It was powered more by marketing, hype, and appealing to young people's wants than by any real talent or good character. He had no respect for the craft, Brand once said, and it showed. The world was making heroes out of people who didn't deserve it, and Presley was at the top of that list. This statement showed Brand's belief that fame should be earned through skill, discipline, and hard work. These were qualities he admired in himself and in the actors and soldiers around him, but which he thought Presley didn't have. Another part of Brand's hatred was personal. While Brand was a man of theater and movies who cared about his craft, he watched Presley become incredibly famous with a level of cultural power that Brand thought was both undeserved and pushy. Brand believed Presley's personality was fake, designed to appeal to basic feelings rather than create real art or smart respect. Hemad millions of kids go crazy over Atrick, Brand said angrily, and all the while pretending to be something he wasn't. That kind of lying is unforgettable to me. Here, Brand weighs pressing a moral problem as much as an artistic one, seeing Presley not just as a pop star, but as a bad influence on society, especially on young people. Brand also criticized Presley's public image, especially what he saw as moral looseness and the sexual nature of his performances. During a time when conservative values were still widely believed, Brand saw Presley's ship movements, his suggestive stage movements, and his carefully created bad boy image as signs of a bigger moral problem. "I fought in a war," Brand would say, "and here was a man selling dirty behavior to teenagers like it was candy. He made a joke of discipline, of decency, of everything I'd fought to protect." This feeling showed Brand's deep lies at worldview, a belief that fame and influence came with responsibility, and Presley, in his eyes, failed that as terribly. But Brand's hatred was not just about morals or work. It was very personal. The actor often talked about the arrogance he saw in Presley, the way he acted like no one could touch him. He walked around like he owned the world, Brand remembered. "And I couldn't stand that. I wanted to punch him in the mouth every time I saw him on screen." His words show not only frustration but real anger that came from both jealousy and righteous anger. Brand, who had earned his respect and recognition the hard way, could not stand so many who seemed to get praised easily without going through the same hard times. Neville Brand's hatred of Elvis Presley was deep, complex, and showed a clash between two very different worlds. On one side was Brand, disciplined, principled, battle-hardened, and deeply respectful of talent earned through effort and sacrifice. On the other was Presley, a cultural powerhouse who in Brand's eyes succeeded on being shallow, charming, and fake, creating something that Brand could not respect. As Brand himself said, "I hated him more than anyone, and I don't apologize for it." His words show not only his personal dislike, but also his unwavering commitment to the values he held dear, a commitment that made him a man of conviction, even if it meant hating one of the most beloved entertainers of his generation. His wartime service gave him post-traumatic stress disorder fatal to times of drinking too much alcohol. In 1975, he said in an interview that this addiction had cost him most of his money. Neville Brand, the tough and versatile actor known for his compelling acting as villains and tough guy characters on both the big and small screens, died from emphysema at Sutter General Hospital in Sacramento, California on April 16, 1992. He was 71 years old when he died, marking the end of a life that had been filled with both amazing events and personal struggles. Emphysema, a lung disease that gets worse over time, often caused by smoking for a long time, had really hurt Brand's health in the years before he died. This sickness, which slowly makes the lungs unable to get oxygen into the blood, had become a very bad, showing their results of decades of lifestyle delicacies that were common among men of his generation, especially those in the demanding and stressful world of Hollywood. His fight with the disease had been a private matter, but those who knew him saw the quiet courage he showed as his health got worse. He kept his dignity and stayed calm even as the illness got worse. After his death, Brand's family and close friends held a private funeral service to honor his life and legacy. This small ceremony, attended by those who had been closest to him, gave a space for personal thinking and remembering, letting his loved ones celebrate his achievements, remember the memorable characters he brought to life on screen, and share stories of his warmth, wit, and unbreakable spirit off screen. Unlike if public shows that sometimes happen when a Hollywood star dies, Brand's funeral stayed simple and private, perhaps showing his own personality, down to earth, strong, and deeply grounded. It was a time for those who really knew him to honor not just the actor but the man behind their roles, recognizing both his contributions to movies and TV and his lasting impact on the lives of his family and friends. After the service, Neville Brand was cremated like his family wanted so they could keep a lasting respectful memorial to him. His remains were then put in a niche of the Morning Glory Room at East Lawn Memorial Park in Sacramento, a cemetery that is known for its peaceful and well-kept grounds. The choice of this resting place was important because it gave a peaceful and permanent location for family, friends, and fans to visit and pay their respects. The Morning Glory Room, with its quiet beauty and thoughtful atmosphere, stands as a perfect tribute to Brand's lasting legacy, offering a space where his memory can continue to be honored and where those who love him can find comfort. Even in death, Neville Brand's presence remains a real reminder of a life lived with determination, artistic passion, and a deep commitment to family and personal integrity, leaving behind a legacy that continues to touch fans and colleagues alike.